Welcome to the bold. I'm shooting this video around 1 a.m. and I've just taken time to sample the speeches by Kenya Kwanza leaders who attended the event of installation of the moderator of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, Patrick Thegu Mutahi, in St. Andrew's Church here in Nairobi. And I understand the reason why Reverend Njoya made a decision to walk out of that meeting, as Pius Kinodia is saying here. Pius Kinodia is the Kenya Kwanza blogger. He just shared this tweet here saying, and of course blaming the Reverend for walking out of William Ruto's meeting, or a meeting that was being attended by both Ruto and Rigathi, saying, what is this man of God protesting against? The Bible which he preaches tells us to respect and honor those in power. So Pius has decided to take up the decision of that Reverend to walk out of Ruto meeting as a show of disrespect. And I will debunk that in this video. This is what really happened. And if you listen to the speeches there, you'll be tempted to support the man of God. Kindly support our April project. Our April project is going to be on 13th. That is on Saturday in Kano. Kano is really known for floods and other challenges. We are going to support 50 elderly women. We are looking at getting for them some food stuff. There are those who are in need of maybe beddings and some duvets, or rather blankets. We want to go and support. This is just a sample of these women that have been sharing with you. And I want to say thank you very much for those who have really responded. I know it's been going slow. That's why we decided to stagger it for 1 month. For 1 week, we are finishing on Friday so that we can hold the event on Saturday. Kindly, let's support. I know I still have a deficit. I think by this evening it was in the tune around 60, if I'm not wrong, 65 or so. But I believe that it will be done. It will be a big success. And kindly, let's support with the little we can get, and God will bless us. Now, I want you to look at, look at this picture. I looked at those photos. If you look at this picture, this church, those who are taking all that front row are politicians. The whole government is seated there, front row in the church. And while they are spending, today is on, this event was on Tuesday. So on Tuesday, the doctors are in the streets. The whole government is seated there. They went to attend that event. The whole government seated, and they took the front seat. So you see why we have glorified politicians. In fact, someone says that the public are being made to believe that life starts and ends with government. Now, this Reverend Timothy Njoya was attending this event, and immediately President and the team arrived. He was there, and he knew very well that they were going to be there. But amidst the speeches is when he walked out. And of course, it is not really shown because the only media team that were available were the William Ruto's social media team, and they decided not to show us that. I've watched the whole event, and by the time they're saying he left, they did not show. They decided then just to show the speeches. But this is what really transpired. You are going to get that, and I want us to listen to these speeches so that we find out really, was the Reverend right? Is it a show of disrespect? And what exactly transpired there? That Timothy Njoya is not a pushover. We want a new constitution. You see, that is, and so he was part of it. So when I got that, when I saw that story that he walked out of William Ruto's meeting, it didn't come as a shocker, because that has been him, and I think even people who have been following the politics of this country will understand well that he's not someone he's not the modern pastor, he's not the current clergy here who will always believe on yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Now, how would you sit and listen to the president talking about this?
Hata na pale bado tunahitaji pesa ya evangelism. Kuna watu hawajafikiwa na neno la Mungu. Hata ile matatizo ya banditry tuko naye kule West Pokot na sehemu nyingine Silale, tatizo kubwa is spiritual warfare. We want PCEA to send more missionaries into remote parts of Kenya, kwa sababu matatizo katika sehemu hiyo kati yake ni matatizo ya spiritual warfare, and we need a spiritual army to deal with it. Tunaweza kufanya kama serikali na silaha na askari, lakini vita ya kiroho inatakikana jeshi la kiroho kwenda kupigana. Vile mumesema mambo ya Chesegon hapa chini. Pale Chesegon mumesema kuna shule 5 haijafunguliwa. Mimi nataka niseme nikiwa West Pokot, in the next 2 days jeshi watakuwa pale Chesegon, na watakuja pale kuhakikisha kwamba hizo mashule imejengwa, na watakuja pale kuhakikisha kwamba shule zikifunguliwa next term, watoto wa kutoka hizo shule watakuwa pale, na tutakuwa na askari ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba watoto wetu wanasoma. It cannot be the case in the 21st century in Kenya, a democratic country, ya kwamba ati kuna watoto hawajaenda shule ati kwa sababu ya watu wakora wachache wanakimbia hapa na kuiba ng'ombe na kufanya ujinga. So we must deal with them and be very clear about what we must do.
You know, sometimes we joke with very serious problems, and there is someone who said, as a president, there are things that you cannot speak soft about. Bandits are killing women, children. 5 schools are even closed somewhere in Pokot. You've even watched that video. I've played the 2 videos of the president talking about missionaries being sent there. Yes, it's true, it's partly a spiritual problem, because there are prayers. We cannot discard prayers from the whole context. But does it start there? And if it is about prayers, see, we can just pray. Must we go there? The missionaries can work there if there is no peace. Even the missionaries are human beings. Even them, they need that peace. And sometimes when bandits, I want to play for you. I want you to watch this video. These are the bandits. This is a drone shot of bandits that were captured some time back cooking their forest. They're deep in the forest. These are the people that are destroying that area and creating all that instability in the region. Then somewhere when they're listening to their local radio, they are hearing president talking about sending missionaries. We don't look serious. If there is a team that I've always believed bandits are just criminals that should be treated like terrorists. You know, I've always believed if there are people that look after cows, they are looking for cows, then why do they kill young boys in school? Where do they kill teachers? Where do they go to kill chief? Where do they shoot people? You know, if really there are people that normally need. Sometimes if you see footages of areas where they did an operation, you wonder here, so what exactly are they looking for? So we made that speech and we seem to be mocking God. You know, sometimes as you might sit back and say, okay, this sounds like mockery. So even if you're not one of those yes sir team, you'll not really be able to sit there and concentrate, listen to that. Now, look at the second irony. Very interesting. The president who has borrowed more than what Uhuru borrowed, is saying that he should not be told about reduce the taxes, because if you're reducing the taxes, then you are just registering to manage. And there is something very close na hizi scriptures, na hizi speeches, talking about how we need to manage our debts and all that, including the last bit.
Neno la Mungu mkienda kusoma Proverbs 13:22 inasema, a good person leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of sinners is stored up for the righteous. Ni mnanielewa? Tukiendelea vile tunaendelea, mkiniambia punguza hii, punguza hii, punguza hii, mkiniambia nipunguze hapa, ni kuniambia enda kopa madeni. Saa hizi katika Kenya madeni ndio hiyo iko mlima. Hata hiyo neno la Mungu linasema a good person leaves an inheritance. As we talk, hatuna inheritance, tuko na deni. Kuna mtu anaweza ati kubadilisha Biblia tuseme a good person leaves a debt. Si lazima tupange vile we leave an inheritance to the people of Kenya. Na ndio mimi nataka niwaambie, my responsibility kwa hii nafasi Mungu amenipatia niwe kiongozi wa Kenya ni kujaribu kiwango nitaweza kupunguza madeni ya taifa letu la Kenya, so that we can leave an inheritance for our future generations, not debt.
On the 27th of February, the National Treasury submitted a report to Parliament indicating that Kenya had borrowed 223 billion shillings between September to January. This, at the time, was about 62 million shillings per hour. In just February alone, when you saw the shenanigans with the Eurobond, the government added another 545 billion shillings to our debt, borrowing in a total of 6 months, 768 billion shillings, which is more than the previous regime of Uhuru Kenyatta did in 1 year. Uhuru's highest borrowing was 800 billion in the year 2022-2023, ever in his 10-year period. But in 6 months, this government has already reached that target.
Agree with the church that even as we have a symbiotic relationship between the church and the state, that the church will continue to be the conscience of our society, and when need be, the church will speak out on behalf of the people in positively criticizing government when need be. And as the moderator said this morning, where we do well, they will not whisper, as he asked us to whisper to the church when they do well. They will also speak out and say where government is doing well. And for us, in government and those serving in the public arena, we shall always support the church in all your endeavors through development.
If you listen to what he's saying, and I decided to play for you the clip by Wanjigi, you get to understand why exactly some people will be uncomfortable with such a speech. The truth, I I once interviewed Brenda Kangai, and he said something that she said something that I really stuck in my mind. The days when you would use deception in politics, those days are gone. Nowadays, people are in the social media spaces. They're in TikTok, they're in Facebook, they're in Twitter. They have their news, in their phones, and people are so much informed. They're so much informed that some of these statements, when you say, and with already something that someone already read somewhere, just look at it like, what are you even saying? Even that video, I understand then, Njoya walked out when Kimani Chungwa was talking about how the churches should even criticize government. That criticize us, but criticize us positively. I don't know what is positive criticism. I don't know positive criticism is mixing what is good and what is bad. For me, I have always said, on food, on unga, they have done their magic. The price of unga is as low as 100. They've done their magic. On that Kenya shilling, they've done their magic. As to whether the question is about sustainability or it is just something about cooling the pressure, but they've done their bit. Sometimes you give them their dues. So, having that bit of those poetic talks, and you'll realize most of all that is, there's the whole conundrum, it is all packaged in some Bible verse. I understood that, and I don't know whether we are the only, who else is realizing that this fertilizer thing, this fertilizer scandal that has been a big thing in this country. It has been a big thing. I don't know that it's only the media that has made it big, but since the day that Alan Namu did that expose, it has been a big discussion. William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua are in some good narrative, in some very joint narrative to smollen the problem. And when he was talking about the problem is good, then there is some 5 or 6%. When Rigathi was speaking in Rwanda, he said only 50 bags. When Waziri Mithika Linturi went to parliament, he said 70 bags. So there is an attempt to make it a small thing. And I've always wondered, why would you just come out and say it is? By saying it's a small thing, does it mean it is good? Because it's a small thing. Rigathi said only 50 bags. Listen to that bit.
Nilikuwa mgonjwa, haukunitembelea. Sikuwa na makao, hukunishughulikia. You know that part of the Bible. Si ni kweli? Na ndio sababu tunafanya bidii kuhakikisha kwamba ile mpango tuko naye ya kuzalisha chakula is so that we can eliminate the shame of hunger in our nation. Ile mpango tuko naye, na nimefurahi mmezungumzia hapa. Na wakati tunapanga hiyo maneno ya kuzalisha chakula, nyinyi mnajua pale nyuma tulikuwa na subsidies zingine, ati mtu anajaribu kusubsidize unga iko kwa duka. Huwezi kusubsidize unga iko kwa duka, kwa sababu unga haidoki kwa duka, unga inatoka kwa mkulima. So if you go and subsidize at the supermarket, you will miss the point. Na mshukuru Mungu. Na when you pray, please mshukuru Mungu kwa kutupatia mvua. Tuliomba mwaka uliopita Mungu atupatie mvua, tumepata mvua, tumeweka mpango kubwa ya kuzalisha chakula, and we are seeing God's favor. Unga hiyo ilikuwa 200 plus, leo iko 100 plus hapa chini. Na tunazidi. Mwaka huu tumeweka mpango mzuri hiyo ya mbolea. Mnajua shetani hakosi, akiona mahali kuna maneno anaenda anajaribu kukoroga pale. Na ndio hiyo ya maneno ya mbolea iko sawa, lakini pale kidogo tulipata matatizo almost 5, 6, 7%. Iko na matatizo, tutarekebisha, na wale wamehusika watapata cha mtemakuni. That we will do.
So some of this would even piss you off, even if you are if you're just an ordinary Kenyan. So I want to answer, just in the wake of that, I want to answer my friend Pius Kinodia. Whenever I interviewed him, I never played that video here. But I nilimu interview, but sikuicheza hiyo video. For some reasons, I didn't play that video. Now, why Ruto has lost respect and honor? I want to agree with it, because it's only the Kenya Kwanza team that are saying, when he went to the street, there was heckling. And he withdrew from the rallies. By then he withdrew from the rallies after all those heckling. And Rigathi went and said, you guys are showing disrespect to the president. He said it in Kiambu, and also went in a church in Nandi and said they are showing president disrespect. Now, as that is now going on, this pastor walks out of that meeting, and then Pius Kinude says, disrespect. I think Kenya Kwanza are shooting themselves in the foot. And why the president is losing what they choose to call respect and honor is the populism politics in pulpit. It's a culture that for me, I don't like it. In fact, let me just say this, I may not find another chance to say this. Leave alone even this Christian one. Muslims are celebrating that Dhul Fitr. Yesterday, I still don't understand why politicians must put on that Muslim attire just to try to camouflage. I still don't understand. While you don't even utter any sense, you don't even understand anything about it. But because you want to look like Muslims, you go and put on. I saw it, and I think that thing really pisses. It really pisses off. Now, politics and pulpit. Not everyone goes to church for politics. And in fact, Kenyans withdrew. Yes, Kenyans withdrew. Even as we are doing political analysis, we realize that the views shrinked. Not because we're not doing content, but because a number of Kenyans pulled out. So you go to church, I just want to pray, go home. But before service ishe, I'll go and have another seat there. I'll have someone for 30 minutes, for maybe 1 hour or so. Then the other 2 hours, listening to politics, one speaker after the other, one speaker after the other. I wish they just wave, go. It's really a problem. And then the congregation looks at you as one of the preachers. And then politicians will always, now wherever they go to church, they want to behave like preachers. So they want to start quoting Bible verses left, right, and center, and then package that with their political information and leave some tokens and go. It's a bad place. Number two, they said respect and honor is because of the grand argument on public discourse. I want to be very truthful, and maybe I know I don't have the crystal ball to advise Kenya Kwanza, but because of this platform, I can say this. For heaven's sake, you cannot argue with the public because there is something called trust deficit. The media cannot run a story about how the hospitals are deserted by the doctors and mama ambaye ameenda kujifungua is suffering there. And then the next day they run another story about someone who is in his farm and is saying the fertilizer is fake. Then you come out and say, that person who is saying fertilizer is fake is been sent. That person is not honest. That person is lying. Then you go about the hospital, you say, the doctor should consider the patient. He should not look for all that money. Now, the more you argue with the public, you are losing trust. You're looking like you're scapegoating. I wish, and in fact, the PR guys in government, you know, this journalist who left newsroom and went to government, they should advise them and tell them, on fertilizer, just accept first. Don't stop saying it's not there, it's Azimio spoiling the program. Don't go there. Just accept, own up first. If you own up today, tomorrow people, Kenyans will say, okay, wamekubali sawa, Watawapiga, tutawapiga for some one day, then the next day Kenyans will just forget. But at least she'll have managed. Accept, then say, fine, we've realized there is fake fertilizer, so this and this is going on. We want to start this investigation, and this is what we want to take. And take some action. It's not the first. There was a story last year in February about some sugar contraband. I think it was in April. And ilipiga kona, some people were fired from cabs, I don't know where. Then these people who were fired from cabs were given some ambassador jobs, and some politicians that were named in it. No one was charged. Put your act into it, so that even if you argue with the public, even if the public will say you apologize and saying, sorry, this is it, now we are putting into place this. But if you continue arguing, who will go to pick that fertilizer? And that's where they're losing it. Number three, the predictable, boring speeches and very dismissive. In fact, I listened to Ruto. Ruto has spoken twice about, while speaking in Pokot, he said, wale wenye waliuzia, those who sold fake fertilizer to farmers will see the full force of the law. He said the same thing today, and they will be compensated. Do you know this is the planting season? Despite of all that talk of they will be compensated, no farmer has been compensated even a shilling. So, and Kenyans know this. If they are compensated, we will know. They will be all over. They will be all over. And the same government will compensate them into a program, and they will tell the public. So, the speeches are too long, and too boring, and a bit poetic. Just the same story. Fertilizer, unga. You know, you cannot say fertilizer and unga for the next 3 years. You must get a different story, by the way. Even Uhuru Kenyatta used to have speeches. It didn't used to be that so. And lastly, I think there is a bit of some deception. This they need to look into it. There is deception because you cannot on one hand say, I am not going to be the president that will put Kenya into a debt. But then the next day, IMF is giving you some billions. You know, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky, and that is why the issues, for example, you cannot say, I want to know how to fund health, and NHIF is going to cater for health. As we speak, hospitals in rural areas you cannot be treated using NHIF. If I'm wrong, someone can come here and prove me. We need to put our acts together. Something is simply not amiss. And so the walkout by Njoya, much as we can look at disrespect, but there is a context in it, and the context is wider. Thank you.